Hello, I'm Rob Phillips. Welcome to my channel. So today I'm going to be discussing some of the pros and cons of different times that we might sit in our meditation practice. I'll go over some factors we might consider when deciding how long is right for us, and I'll even give my ideal recommended time for folks who want to make a serious commitment to their practice. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to begin my discussion by talking about meditation times which, in my opinion, are a bit too short. So often I've seen blog posts or other videos or things like that where folks suggest simply just sitting 5 minutes a day. Now, there is a certain power to this, and there's something good about this because it makes the practice completely accessible. I think it's also beneficial in terms of building consistency with the practice, right? It's very easy to commit to sitting 5 or 10 minutes a day or something like that. However, I think there's kind of a shadow side to this, or a problem with this, that folks miss out on, and that's this, that 5 minutes really isn't enough time to get the real benefits of meditation practice. And I've talked to a number of people over the years who have done 5 minutes, 10 minutes for some length of time every single day, and they tell me, oh, I tried meditating and it didn't really do much for me. And maybe they go through the motions, or maybe they just stop doing it altogether. And so while this is good for building consistency, I think it's a missed opportunity to see some of the deeper benefits that we can get if we allow ourselves to commit and spend just a little bit more time in our practice. So related to that, one of my favorite metaphors for meditation is if you were to imagine taking a cup of water from like a stream or a pond or something like that. When you first took the bottle of water out, probably it would be all kind of cloudy, it would be filled with dirt. But if we put the cup of water down and we give it enough time to settle, over time all the specks of dust and dirt will settle to the bottom, and suddenly that dirty cup of water is much more clear. We can see through it much more easily. That is, in effect, what we're trying to accomplish with our meditation practice. Now, what about sitting for longer periods of time? In general, I would say that sitting longer is better. The longer that we sit in our practice, the more times a day we sit, the more time we have to really experience the benefits, the more time the mind really has to settle. But, of course, there is a such thing as too much of a good thing, and we really need to consider the factors in terms of adding length to our meditation time. The first factor, and I think the most important one, especially for folks who are trying to get more serious about their meditation, is the effects on the body. Often sitting for too long can be potentially problematic. We might stress the joints, we might get uncomfortable and just have a hard time dropping in our sitting. And again, in that sense, trying to commit to too long can actually be counterproductive if we try and add too much too quickly. And of course, on a more practical level, there's just scheduling that much time. As we try to commit more and more, it fills up more of our schedule, it can become intimidating. And in that sense, it's a little bit easier to give up on. We can stop doing it altogether, which of course I wouldn't want to see. I want us to really get the benefits of our meditation practice. So having gone over some of the pros and cons of longer versus shorter meditation times, what do I think is the ideal kind of sweet spot for most people who want to make more commitment to their meditation practice? Well, in my opinion, kind of the ideal minimum effective dose, so to speak, for meditation practice is about 30 minutes. So with 30 minutes time in a meditation, the mind does have enough time to drop in, lets us receive some of the deeper benefits, really gives us a chance to calm down and change gears. At the same time, though, it's not so long that most people will get really uncomfortable, that most people will potentially harm their body by sitting too long. And also in terms of practical scheduling, I know it might seem like a lot from the get-go, but if you honestly look at your schedule, I think most folks can find 30 minutes a day that they can commit to this practice. And so related to that as well, I think that consistency is super important. If you choose an amount of time that you're going to sit, you should try and do it ideally every day, or at least that average time every single day. And so again, 30 minutes tends to kind of hit the balance between long enough to get the right benefits, but not so long that it becomes overwhelming or potentially harmful. And so if you decide you want to give this a shot and try this 30 minutes a day, I'm going to recommend trying to do so for a particular length of time. Maybe about a month is really good to give it a chance to see what the benefits are and if it's something you can really fit into your schedule. And in my experience working with students, folks who do commit for 30 minutes a day for 30 days or more really start to experience why meditation is beneficial and why it's the type of practice we should want to do. Now, once you've committed to about 30 days or so at 30 minutes, now we can start to think about maybe adding a little bit more. But with that said, like most things, I want us to do so in a way that's kind of conscious and deliberate with how we approach it. So there's kind of two ways that we can add more length of time to our practice. The first is kind of what we've been discussing all along, and that's just literally sitting for longer in any individual sitting. The other way we can add more time is to add multiple sessions throughout the day. So in terms of the first option, as I've said, I think about 30 minutes is a sweet spot for giving us enough time to drop in. From there, we can consider ramping up to maybe 45 minutes, maybe 60 minutes per sit if we're able to do so comfortably in the body. Now, in certain practices, really deeper, more advanced practices, there can be some benefit to sitting longer than that. But I think for most of us who are doing this practice in daily life, if we're not on like a meditation retreat or something like that, probably up to about 60 minutes is the most that we might want to do in an individual sitting. And again, if you're newer to this, probably the idea of 60 minutes seems like a lot anyway. That is getting more into like advanced territory. The other option we can consider is sitting more times throughout the day. And this is actually a great way to multiply the benefits while still being able to fit it neatly in our schedule, while still being gentle on the body. So if you sit in the evening, you could try adding a second sit of the same length of time, maybe earlier in the day, or of course vice versa. You can try playing with longer sit in the morning, maybe a shorter sit in the evening. And if you're already committing to that minimum of 30 minutes, you could do just like a 15-minute sit later in the day, and it would actually be more beneficial than if that's what you were just doing. So obviously, in this case, I have no definite answer for it. There's lots of room for experimentation. But as I've been talking about through this whole video, we really want to consider the pros and cons. We want to think about how and why we are doing our practice. So in summation, more is better with our meditation practice, but we don't want to overcommit early on, and we also want to avoid going too short to miss out on the benefit of the practice. So my kind of challenge, my suggestion for you as a practitioner is try committing to 30 minutes a day for 30 days at least, and see how that goes. And if you do give this practice a shot, certainly let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear all about it. If you have any other thoughts or questions about this video as well, do let me know in those comments. And finally, of course, subscribe to my channel because I'm going to be offering more and more videos like this one where I talk about meditation practice, as well as yin yoga and other styles of yoga practice that you can do at home. If you enjoyed this video, give me a like and come back soon for my next video. Thanks.